All right. Hello and welcome everybody to Tuesday Notary Titans for Tuesday, July 27th, 2021. My name is Bill Soroka. I'm the author of Sign and Thrive, How to Make Six Figures as a Mobile Notary and Loan Signing Agent. And I'm also the host of the Side Hustle Lounge podcast, as you can see right behind me, where we talk about legitimate business opportunities, the mindset to make them a success, and then how you can enjoy your success through adventure and lifestyle design. I'm here with our incredible co-host, Laura Biewer, founder of CoachMeLaura.com. Laura, how's it going today?
Good and improving.
All right, love that. Love that. Anything new and exciting going on in your world?
Bill, do I have a good announcement to make?
Not till next week, but we can
not
talk
till next week.
Yeah, let's
talk. Then nothing new and exciting. No, every day is new and exciting for me. Lots of things always going on. And every day I wake up with a new list. So today I don't have anything special to share with you. Just know that it's a great day wherever you are.
It is a great day. And I just want to highlight Notary Symposium as well. I think you're getting close to the welcome packages being sold out. So guys, that's going to sell out. It's an event that will sell out. If you're holding off waiting, I wouldn't do that. Last year we had to turn people away and that really sucked. Laura has all kinds of cool stuff lined up for you. And I posted the link inside the chat. So you can go to notarysymposium.com and get your tickets during the early bird pricing now. Also guys, what's that? I'm sorry.
It's getting more exciting by the day. We keep coming up with new ideas to make it more fun and engaging. And for those of you who decide to take that action and get your seat, you will not be sorry.
Awesome. And then the other event that Laura's alluding to, I'm going to go ahead and bring it up a little bit anyway, because there's two other events. I usually don't like to talk about stuff until I have the registration link set up for you. But I don't have that prepared on any of these events, but it's coming up. So if you're watching this or watching the replay and you're not actually registered for the email reminders and the updates, I encourage you to do that. Go to notarycoach.com/TNT. Just register for updates and you'll hear all about the Arizona specific advanced real world training that Laura's doing. I'm excited about that one, being right here in Arizona as well. Plus, we're partnering with Judy Lawrence, bringing in an expert from Homeland Security to talk about how to fill out the I-9 form and to do it correctly. Even though it's a relatively simple form, it confuses a lot of notaries, myself included. So we're going to have an expert actually walk us through that. And then we've also, thanks to the suggestions of TNT, we have us a expert in identifying fraudulent IDs coming on to talk about how to spot the fraudulent ID. That's all coming up in August. So it's going to be a busy month and I'll have all those updates for you, but definitely register notarycoach.com/TNT. And of course, I'll post that in the chat for you as well. Guys, let's jump in here and answer some questions. This is why we're here. TNT works like an old-fashioned call-in radio show, except we're all on video, and we're going to use the raise hand feature in Zoom to ask your question. When we call on you, please tell us what state you're in and directly ask your question. Don't give us too much backstory. If we need some more info, we'll ask you for it. All right, let's start off. Kristen, I saw your hand was up. I know you're in California. How can we help today?
Hey, guys. Hi, everybody. Morning.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Kristen Benbow. Sorry, Kristen. There's two Kristens back to back. Sorry about that. Kristen Benbow.
Cool. I'll be quick here. So I had a signing last night that they had two documents. One was errors and admissions. The other one was the occupancy statement that always, or usually, at least thus far, I've had to do a notary. And this time they did not have a document accompanied with that. So I got a little nervous and asked about it after the fact. But I think what I did is either really dumb or maybe trying to be a hero, is I did an acknowledgement with it, and then I realized the error of my ways after. So I have it, but then I'm thinking I really need to just scratch this off my book and throw these papers away. Thoughts?
Laura, what do you say?
Yeah, I would not attach a certificate to a document that does not have any indication that it needs notarization, or I did not receive verbal instruction that it needed notarization. And if you do turn it in, it could cause some confusion, because we know that when it is notarized, it may or may not be an acknowledgement. It could be a jurat, and it could cause some confusion and then cause a rejection. So I would just do what I'm provided and stay with that.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll throw those away. What is the indication on those other
Well,
sheets?
either
I mean, there's,
you see the notary wording, the certificate is there, or on the document, it might say attach acknowledgement here, or you might have verbal, and you might have written instruction in your confirmation for this package. We want you to do this, add your certificate, or you called from the table to find out and they said, yes, go ahead and do that. And they told you what kind. So there's like 4 different ways you might find out.
okay, I did
I'm
not
glad
get
you were
that indication, so I'll throw it away.
Yeah, I'm glad you were alert to it. When you don't know, ask. Yeah,
Yeah,
ask.
I
If
did
it's not
after, and
there-
unfortunately,
If it's not there, this is to all notaries. If there's nothing there, don't don't add.
got it.
Yeah. So, and Kristen, I just want to piggyback on what Laura just said too. I love that you were alert and you caught, you're like, hey, wait a minute. This normally would have a notarial certificate to it, or something to be notarized. This just highlights that every single lender, every single closing agent, every scenario can be different. So some lenders require, even sometimes in the same lender, just different departments that originate the loans, like Bank of America and Wells Fargo are notorious for this. They'll use different templates for their loans. And so some are notarized and some are not. So it's cool to notice, and it gives you an opportunity to be a hero to the transaction. So you can say, oops, hey, I think something's missing here. Or I can just look at it and say, no, it's pretty clear. This is just isn't a notarized document. But without,
Yeah, I had like
adding
very
in the
little time
rat.
though, so I
Yeah.
had to do it after the fact, so.
No problem. Awesome. Great
Thanks.
scenario to bring up. Great conversation. All right. The other Kristen Weiss. Thanks for being here. Want to unmute, tell everybody what state you're in and how we can help. Kristen Weiss. Oh, she probably got a call or something. Oh, there
Hi
you go.
there, I'm here.
Hey, Kristen.
Sorry, I'm driving and looking to get somewhere, so I couldn't figure out how to get to where you're at. Anyhow, this is Kristen Weiss in San Diego. Hello, everybody. First off, wanted to say I'm super excited to do my first virtual conference for the symposium and to learn a whole bunch of new stuff. So really excited about that. So my question is I have a power of attorney for out of state Virginia, and it has a spot on the form for both a acknowledgement and a jurat on the same sheet, on the same notarization page. So do I complete both of them if I don't know?
All right, Kristen. So it's a power of attorney that's going to Virginia. So the rule for California would be you could fill out the acknowledgement if there are 2 separate notarizations on the same page. You could fill out the acknowledgement, but you would have to replace the jurat because we always have to have California format for the jurat. But you will complete 2 separate notarizations.
Okay, that's exactly what I did. So I just wanted to make sure. It's been rare for me to see that where it needed both. So that's exactly what I did. Great, thank you.
All right, awesome. Welcome. Good
Hi,
job.
this is Cassie. I just wanted to say that that's common in Virginia. Sorry to interrupt, but we
Yeah,
get a lot of those where they have both on there. So
Thank you, Cassie.
Great, good to
Yep.
know. Thank you.
All right. Kathy H. in California, you want to unmute and ask your question?
Hi, first of all, thank you so much for the wonderful program. You guys are all amazing. I have a few questions. First of all, regarding a general notary, which I haven't done, I had a person whom I did signing for who contacted me today wanting me to do notarization for 4 different people, total of 32 signings and 32 notarizations. And these supposedly are passports and power attorney and things like that. And I asked him, what exactly did you guys need done on passports, and do they have valid IDs? And his response was, the passport copy is more like we are putting the original ID on a color copier and having the person write an attestation that the copy is true and correct. So you're notarizing their signature to their attestation. So I know I'm supposed to ask them what type of certificate you need. The other thing is, can I use the same ID as the ID verification? And what else can I do? What else do I need to be cautious with?
Great question. Laura, what do you think?
So first of all, yes, you may use the same. If you have the original passport, you could use that as your ID. They have made the copy, they've written their attestation, and then you're going to notarize the signature to that statement about their photocopy. And whether it's an acknowledgement or jurat is up to them. Commonly, when we refer to it as an attestation, it is a jurat, but it's not for us to tell them. We can explain to them, I can certify your signature this way. You can swear that the statement about your photocopy is true, or I can just prove you're the right person who signed this statement, and then they can choose from there.
And Laura, how would you charge these people?
For 32 signatures, I'm going to tell you that I'm not going to charge them $15, the maximum per, because I don't think that's reasonable. That's just my personal opinion. Another notary may say, yeah, it's $15 a pop, however many you have. I think that cutting some kind of package deal, I probably would waive the travel and I'd get, what do I think my time is worth? How much time am I going to sit there? Is this 2 hours to get this done? And then what do I want to make out of that? And I charge a flat fee and I work through it. So you're going to have to decide for yourself what that number is, but that's how I would approach it, is my time to get there, the time at the table, and to get back. What is that worth to me? Right. So if a loan signing, you're 2 hours into it and we're looking for, 100 and more, right? Think about how much time you're going to put in there, and then plus your profit. And there you go.
And for the power attorney, what do? I just need to make sure it's filled out. There is no blank pages. They either put NA or put a line through it. And I just attach a certificate. Is that how it's done with a power attorney?
Power of attorney typically will have a certificate built in at the end after the signature line. Depending on what state it's for, California, it could be an acknowledgement. Another state, it could be a jurat. But whatever they provide pre-printed is what you want to try to use. If the power of attorney is for within the state of California and it's not California verbiage, replace it with your own acknowledgement. If it is a jurat and it's not California wording, replace it with California jurat.
So, and then on that again, I want to make sure on the passport statement, I understand correctly. Once they do that attestation, I do an attachment, and it's legal for me to do it. That is a copy of the original. Because I know birth certificate and stuff we can't do, but
a passport is just fine. A driver's license is just fine. Those are fine. And you're just notarizing their signature to the statement. If it turns out it's a jurat, you're administering an oath that the statement is true.
And I can still do multiple documents on the same line with the new law, right?
If you follow the do's and don'ts from the Secretary of State's office and their guidance, yes, you may.
Okay. Is there a new one out? I haven't noticed that.
No, there's no new law changes. There was just the guidance that was given. It's been posted on social media. Matt went over it with us a couple of weeks ago. The NNA actually has also posted it. So you just follow that. And that is that the names of the documents are clear, that the notarial act is present for each, that the fee is present for each. And so if you're using an NNA style journal, that really doesn't support doing that way. If you're using the Integrity Journal or the Modern Journal of Notary Events, those are more likely to support you having multiple documents grouped together.
Yeah, I still am not very clear. That was my question for you guys last week, but I didn't get a chance to ask. But on the Modern Journal with the multiple documents, because I'm not sure of the names, because the names I see on my documents might be more than what's written on the Modern Journal, I still use like two entries per line, and I still write full verbiage of acknowledgement or jurat and the full name of the document. I don't even use those written ones in the Modern because I still don't know how to use them.
Right. The Modern isn't as easily used because it's pretty abbreviated. And part of what the Secretary of State's office said is we need to be able to tell what that abbreviation means. And if you're abbreviating it too much, that's going to be a problem for compliance.
And I apologize. One very last question. This might help others too. I went up to a signing. The person's name on the documents had no junior, but his ID had junior. And to me, that could be still something wrong there. So I asked him for other IDs. I want to know for you guys, would you ask for another ID? Is that a concern? Because I hear a lot of people say if the ID has more, and I understand more is middle name, middle initial, but this is a more junior, which to me could be a totally different person, is sufficient enough. But I asked for another ID, which was a passport. And I went ahead and used the passport in my journal, but on the Patriot Act, they needed 2 pieces of ID. So on there, his second piece was the passport. So I indicated under the notes that the ID has junior, but the passport doesn't have junior. Did I do this correctly? And should I record the same information in my journal, even though I used the passport in my journal?
So there's actually several questions built into that. One is it an issue when you have suffixes that don't line up? The answer is yes, that's an issue. I don't mess around with suffixes. It is too often that there's a problem with that, and I make them give me another form of ID that is on my list if I'm in California, but whatever IDs you're allowed to take, that matches up. Otherwise, we need to look at the documents to match the ID. So that's the first question I heard. The second question I heard is the Patriot Act. And if you're using the passport because it had junior, then that's your primary ID. That's what you used as a notary. End of that story. Now they make a list of a bunch of other stuff that when you need a second one, and a lot of times they actually have a list. And I hate that they use the word ID because they're not IDs. It could be a utility bill, it could be a W-2, it could be a social security card, it can be all kinds of other things. They don't have to meet the notary standard. And so I just would have used something else other than the driver's license and written it in. And that's it. I don't think what you did is wrong necessarily. Because you're using the right ID as a notary, right? That other second piece for the Patriot Act is just a requirement to list another form that has his name on it.
I see. So you would have, yeah, he didn't want to provide me another form. He said, no, use these 2. I'm comfortable with them.
Fine. And finally, what I heard, the third question was the journal. And what should go in the journal is the ID that you use that match the documents. You can make a note that he had other ID, but really for the journal, we just have to have the one ID. Don't go any further.
And I also had people, and it's interestingly happened to me twice last month. 2 guys, they're like 200 pounds. The picture is them. The signature is them. It was, one was purchase and the other one was a sale. And their weight was still their weight since they were a child. Like 120 pounds on there. And when I brought it to their attention, they're like, oh my God, I never noticed that. Do I need to be worried about that?
Do you have any reason to believe it wasn't them?
No,
So
No,
you
I thought
out
it
if
was
you
done.
want.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm way too overcautious. I appreciate the answers.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yep. My pleasure. And just to spin on that too, guys, one of the most common forms of fraud is between fathers and sons that share the same name. So it is a big deal. The junior is a big deal. Senior, there's a little bit of leeway there because when they were born or got IDs, they weren't a senior. But
I
junior
just
is a deal
posted that
breaker.
happened with my ex.
Yeah.
The father used his name to start a
Happens
new
every
business.
day.
Crazy.
And it's sometimes the other way, right? Fathers steal their sons and sons steal their fathers. It happens all the time. It is a big deal.
And it's mixed
All
with
right.
credit reports. So it's a lot of issues.
Yeah. All right. Great.
That's
Great conversation there. Thank you, Kathy. Stella, welcome. You want to unmute? Tell us what state you're in and how we can help.
Hi guys, I'm in California, and my question is, I'm getting ready to renew my commission, and I usually go through the NNA, but it's just like, it sounds like it's really high. It's almost $600 to renew, and that includes the fingerprinting, everything. Do you guys have an alternative or any suggestions?
So first I would say that it's $179 for the class and it's $115 for the other part. So it's $294 for the class and for the fingerprinting photographing, not $600. So you've obviously ordered some other things going on in there, supplies. I don't know what you ordered to get it to $600. It's about $300 to do that.
Okay, I have to look into that.
Yeah, see what you got stuck in your order if you've got a duplication, because that doesn't sound right. Then in terms of suggestions, I can make a couple suggestions. One is take the class with the NNA. I highly recommend their class. Even if they're not the cheapest out there, they are the best out there. The second thing I would say is, getting fingerprinted is a commodity. You can go to LiveScan anywhere. You'll probably save some money there. You can go to Walgreens and get your passport photo. You can save money there. So that's another way to cut some costs. Then when you go to your supplies, make sure you're careful about what's in a package. If you don't need, the package is nice because they bundle the bond and you got to have that, right? And then they're going to have at least one stamp. You got to have that. And depending on what package you pick, there might be some things in it that you don't need. Like maybe you don't need a journal right now, but there's one in it. If you do it on your own on the website, it doesn't give you an option to trade things out. If you call the call center and say, but I don't need the journal, they can pull the journal out of that package. They can replace it with something else you do need, like a second seal. I do that myself when I help people sign up. And if you want to contact me after the call, I'm happy to go through and help you choose a package that's contoured to what you need as a renewing notary.
Great.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very, thank you so much. Thank you, Laura. Thank
Great
you guys.
question, Stella. And just for everybody here on TNT as well, if you do order anything from TNT, including the Sign and Thrive book bundles, any types of products, if you'd like free shipping, Laura has graciously given us her free shipping code. It is 50321. 50321. There you go. Thanks, Laura. All right.
Awesome.
Thanks, Stella. Tracy Stahl, great to see you. It looks like you have a question on IDs as well, so that might be perfectly timed.
So my question, it has to do with Canadian IDs. I had a signing yesterday and they had the passport, a Canadian passport, a Canadian driver's license, and in the Arizona statutes, it says ID rule exceptions only for the purpose of real estate conveyance and financing.
Right.
But it says a valid unexpired passport issued by a national government, and that's accompanied by a valid unexpired visa or
Right.
other documentation. So the person told me that he shouldn't have to provide that because of the what's it called? The visa. Lost the name of it.
The treaty?
Nope, it's called the visa waiver program. But that country's not on the visa waiver program. So
Tracy, I don't know of any exceptions to that
Yeah,
rule
I
in
was gonna
Arizona.
say, I don't know where you're going, but those are the rules. And even if there's allowances, because there's, for instance, on the passport, say the Mexico passport, which I can take, it doesn't require any of the accompanying documentation or the stamp. But in another state like Florida, I think, they have to have the stamp, even though some people redo theirs in the state. So there is no new entry stamp. But even though that changed, the notary law didn't change. So you're kind of stuck with what notary law tells you. We can't operate outside of our laws.
I used an affidavit of credible witness for it.
Beautiful.
Oh,
Done.
that's what I did. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
as
you.
long as the lender's on board with that,
Yep,
that's the only workaround. And it's such a bummer because without that stamp or the visa information, we just can't move forward with it.
And the title person said that because it's just the deed that I was notarizing, that it would have been okay.
No.
I just didn't understand that, but
No.
anyway, thought I'd bring it up.
Yeah, I've gone to attorneys and to the Secretary of State, which I don't consider the best resource anyway, but there's been no workaround. It's pretty clear in our state code, just as you read. It must have that. And the only exception, like in Arizona, we can't take a foreign passport for anything else except conveyance of property, but it must have proof that they're in the country they're supposed to be here.
Or use
legally
an
here.
affidavit of credible witness, correct?
No, the credible witness is outside. It acts as the ID instead of the passport.
Right, well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha. Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Laura, anything else to wrap up on that?
Yeah, I just want to say, hey, you Arizona notaries, time to talk to your Secretary of State and say, we want a law change. We want some new IDs added. I mean, laws get changed, right? They get changed all the time. And if something is stopping you from taking care of the public, their constituents, right? Then we need to let them know, look, we're trying to serve the public and this is getting in the way. And we need some help to better serve our clients, which are your constituents. So get somebody to lead that up and help make a change, because that's how change happens.
And the signer was mad. I mean, he was mad. Well, we have an attorney. We're going to check him. Da, 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 da.
It is what it is, but it sounds like it's time for people to get active in your state to say, what do we need to do to change the ID law to add some flexibility?
Beautiful. Thank you, Tracy. Great topic. Debbie Hudson from California, would you like to unmute and ask your question?
So yesterday being the last day for the rescission period for signings in July, I did 6 signings yesterday, and I swear I'll never do it again. I don't know.
It could be crazy.
But, each one, they were all, loans. The W-9 for California has 5 to 6 pages of IRS instructions how to fill out the certificate.
Yeah.
And it comes pre-filled except the signature box and date. And it kills me to print that twice for each signer, every loan package. Is there any way around printing those instructions for each package?
Well, I'm sure there is, but first I would say that it's not our job to start deciding what should be printed and what shouldn't be. That could be a slippery slope. I mean, I get it. It's a total waste of paper, but also it's a waste of time for you to go in there and change the printer settings and tell it not to print these pages. So I'm not sure it's a good practice at all. Laura, any ideas or suggestions on it?
100% agreement. It's not my place. I don't have time to mess with that. So I just don't worry about it.
And I will tell you that some of the biggest problems I've had in my signing company is where notaries decide that borrowers don't need stuff and they don't print stuff out, or they print it small and multiple pages on one piece of paper. That really complicates things. So I'm not sure that I would advise on it at all. just
okay, it just kills me environmentally.
I
for the
know,
paper
I know.
And the ink, and it just is going to get trashed. And it's every single loan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Give it another 30 years and we should be fully electronic with these things. All right. Thanks, Debbie.
Thank
Great.
you guys. This is so wonderful.
Thanks for being here. Jessica, also from California. Thanks for being here. You want to unmute and ask your question?
California.
Hi, yes, I have a question. It's sort of like a journaling two-part question. I'm working on comparing the different accounting applications, Notary Gadget and Notary Assist. Notary Assist asks you how many notarial acts, and then they count they add up $15. So does Notary Gadget, but I think I can manually change that to not do that. But I'm wondering, okay, in the journal, I know that Laura stated to fill in $15 up until you run out of money. Should we also be doing that in our accounting, or should we put the total number of notarial acts just for tracking purposes? I mean, because the accounting is for when we file our taxes.
Right.
So if we put all of the accounting, all of the number of notarial acts times 15, it's going to be more than what you're paid for the signing. So
But they don't. It cuts off. It'll when you run your tax report at the end of the year,
yeah,
the column goes across this way and it can't exceed the total money.
Okay, so it doesn't matter that it exceeds. Okay.
It's
okay.
smart. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The second part is I know that now we can have one journal entry in the state of California for multiple signings. I haven't started doing that yet, but I'm wondering, how do we handle the time? Because we have to put the time of each signature. But if we're recording one item for one entry for multiple items, then how do we put the time in? Because there's in the modern journal, I think it was the integrity journal, there's only one place for the time.
Matt, what do you think?
Okay, so the guidance that I received from the Secretary of State very clearly states that you may include multiple documents in the same journal line entry if you clearly indicate the fee for each notarization. You clearly indicate that they are for the same person and were performed at the same time. Now, the Secretary doesn't care if you perform notarization 1 at 105, notarization 2 at 108, notarization 3 at 110. If they're all in the same block and you sit down and do them all at the same time, that's considered the same time and date to them.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now,
So
you could in your journal say, I was with this client from 1 to 1:45 p.m. as a notation, but it's not necessary to say 108, 110, 113, 117.
Okay. All right. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah, excellent. Great question. I'm glad we got some clarification on that too, Matt. Thank you. All right. Samantha True, also from California. California is in the house today. All right. You want to unmute, ask your question. How can we help?
Yes, California is in the house. So, excuse me. My question is, there are like a lot of new home developments popping up around where I am. Any tips on how to get in to become a preferred notary with those types of places?
Heck yeah. That's exactly how I grew my business. So, and we can talk a little bit about it here, but I also want you to know that there is a free course that I teach this exact thing on. It's my advanced relationship building course called Morning Mastery for mobile notaries and loan signing agents. It's with my daily dues. It's part of my book as well, but you can go to notarycoach.com. It's all over the homepage, but it's /morning mastery as well. And it's the exact steps that I did to build and cultivate these relationships. With home builders, here's what you need to know. Home builders will either have a strategic partnership with an existing closing agency, like an escrow or title escrow company, or they will own their own. So you're still going to be building relationships with escrow, just like Escrow Direct. When we talk about Escrow Direct, this is exactly what this is. They're just really niched down. So if the builder owns the title company, it's crystal clear. That's what they're going to be doing. If it's a strategic partnership, just know that all of these big title companies, title and escrow companies that you see all over the country, they have a division that works with builders. They call it the builder division, real creative. And you can tap into what they're doing. The key is it's still relationships one-on-one. Don't let it go down some other path. You're still going to cultivate a relationship. You're going to find out what companies you want to work for, make your list, do some research. What are they all about? Who's working in that office? Who's heading that up? Who are the escrow officers? And then find unique and creative ways to reach out and cultivate a relationship with them. It is incredibly effective. LinkedIn was a major factor in that for me. And sending cards was a major factor for me as well. That's how I can track those cards down, finding people on LinkedIn, connecting in a unique and creative way. And what I mean by that really is don't just reach out and sell something. Don't sell yourself. Don't reach out and just say, here's how great I am. Blah, 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 blah. They get that all day long. Find a different approach, a different way to connect with them. And there's all kinds of creative ways I talk about inside the course as well. It doesn't have to be anything huge, but the key is don't take the relationship from 0 to 100 in the first 3 seconds. Let it grow. It takes time. And sometimes we just want to ram the gas and go. But if you let it unfold organically, it creates a foundation that lasts through anything. And I mean, anything. So that would be my best advice for you. Laura, do you have any other suggestions?
I think what you're suggesting for new home development is actually really similar to steps you could take for any line of specialty that you want to go after, because it's really all about identifying yourself and connecting with one other person, not an organization, but a person who's in the organization. So I really love what Bill's talking about, and I highly recommend you take a look at that free course. It's very helpful.
The other thing that I'll add on to this is there are some key things that are unique to home builders, so you can craft your language when you're talking to them. Number one, it's extremely high pressure environment. Depending on your state, if you're in a wet state, they might be signing documents and getting keys in that moment. Sometimes in dry states like most of the West Coast, we got a little bit of a delay. Maybe it's a few hours, maybe it's a few days, but there's still this pressure. It's a pressure cooker right now, first of all, because there's so much need and volume happening right now that they need precision. Don't make, if you're going to make a mistake, it has to be fixed right away. Plus you got to have some thick skin because people are exploding. You know, they're under so much pressure. They might snap. They might say things that they don't necessarily mean. So you've got to have some thick skin. And a lot of times with home builders, you're actually either in their office signing or you're at the home sales, like in a model home signing at a dining room table or a bar as people are coming in. So you need to, they're looking for people who fit the culture of the company and can blend and will take ownership of things and kind of roll with things and be part of a solution and not what's the word I'm looking for? Something that blocks the wheels. You want, they want to grease the wheels on that one. Use that kind of language, you can't go wrong.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
Bill, before we go on to our next person, I just want to mention, if you guys see in the chat, the Zoom link for Phil Shannon's Legal Shield call is right there for you guys if anybody needs that.
Perfect. And that's going to be happening right after this, I believe, right? Right after TNT today. All right. Cassandra Burton, I see your hand. Please unmute. Tell us what state you're in. Different than California. That's the only rule. And
It
ask
is.
your
It's all
question.
the way. Okay. It's all the way over on the East Coast. I'm from Washington, D.C.
All right. All right. How can we help today?
I just want to know if anybody has a tip or tips on how to hit that button when you get a potential signing and you say accept, but I'm too slow. It could be 2 minutes and I'm still too slow. Are there any tips?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I would invite anybody who's on this call that has a solution to type it into the chat and give some solutions there. What I can do is I can share some of the ways that some of the students that I coach have done it in the past. The first thing is sometimes it's already gone by the time it gets to you, just the way these text messages roll out. That doesn't necessarily mean that's a missed opportunity. Maybe that one signing, but the signing agents that have the most success in building and cultivating relationships with these signing companies are the ones that actually maybe follow up with the contact information, even in those missed signings, if it's available. They'll call and talk to the scheduler. They'll talk to the closing agent and just say, I clicked that I was available on this signing. I noticed it hadn't been assigned to me yet. Did you get taken care of, or can I help you? And then sometimes it actually works out and they're like, no, I've got 30 people who said yes, I just haven't chosen it. Thank you for calling. I'll assign it to you. Sometimes they'll tell you that, no, we've already assigned that, but thank you very much. But it gives you a contact so you can stay in touch and possibly get the next one. Laura, what have you heard?
Yeah, well, I do hear the same concerns about this. And personally, I don't work with those apps because I'm lucky enough that I have relationships, so I get direct calls. But if you're going to rely on that, it really does mean you can't be putting your phone down. Don't leave it back in the bedroom or back here or in your car or wherever. You need to be pretty much attached to it if you're relying on that method. Because 2 minutes is too long.
Yeah,
I learned that the hard way.
Can I interject as a new notary who dealt with signing
that is awesome.
I think that in my first 30 days of being a notary, every time I got a text from any of the signing agencies, and I'm moving away from them, but for my beginning, I called every time. I got 50 signings taken care of in my first month in business because I followed up with each text. I didn't just accept and put my phone down. I called the signing agency. So just a little.
Jennifer, thank you for sharing that. And I like the way you worded that. I didn't just accept that I didn't get the signing. I think that's one of the, one of the biggest mistakes that relatively new notaries make is, and it's kind of nice because this last year, literally all you had to do was have a phone and roll out of bed and you could get lots of signings and you didn't have to work it. So we just waited for the phone notifications to go off. Now things are shifting a little bit and you don't have to just accept it. There's still thousands of signings that go on every single day. You can still get a piece of that if you grab the bull by the horns and actually say, yep, okay, I didn't get that one, but I'm going to get the next one, and start cultivating relationships. We keep saying it over and over and over again, that this is a relationship-based business. And sometimes the technology, the awesome technology that we have that's changing the face of this industry, makes us forget that. It like stands in between us and the relationship, but the relationship still needs to happen. There's still a human being on the other side of that platform, on the other side of that text message, on the other side of that telephone. There's a human being that you can cultivate a relationship with. All
Bill,
right.
can I chime in? Bill,
Sorry,
can
who
I
was
chime
that?
in? Randy
Randy.
Venters. Hey, I have two different phones that I use with work because neither one works everywhere that I'm at in the area in Washington. I use both T-Mobile and Verizon, and I've noticed I think it's the Verizon one, I can turn on, Verizon's a little bit faster than T-Mobile is to give me text messages. And if I turn on Wi-Fi calling where my phone works over Wi-Fi, that's even a little bit faster. And sometimes it's up to like 30 seconds faster that I get a text via Wi-Fi versus over the cellular signal. So that may be something that you can look at and help with.
Thank you, Randy. I think that's a really good point too, because the way the technology works, sometimes they may click send from their computer that sends out the blast of text messages, but how that rolls out is it depends on so many different technologies that's what I mean. It may already be gone by the time it gets to you, because maybe it sent a blast out to the Northwest before it got to the Southeast, who knows? But that's why just because you didn't get it, it's not necessarily a missed opportunity. All right, Cassandra, I hope that helps. Thank you so much for being here. All right, we got Angel in Maryland now. Angel, if you'd like to unmute, ask your question.
Hello, can you hear me?
Sure can.
All right, great. So I've been a general notary for about 7 years. I work for a law firm, and I recently came across signing agent and I applied. I'm studying for my TIPIC, and I want to know, because I do it on a regular basis for work, how do I just take it out of my pay to put it towards my notary fee, or should I ask for like a raise with my boss or something? I'm not sure how that works. Or can we just, because I don't charge a zero fee. It's a zero fee when it's my employer.
Angel, are you asking, is there a way to charge your employer for your notary services above and beyond what your salary is?
Either that, or, I mean, I know that sounds stupid to use my own money to pay for my own fee every time, but I'm just trying to figure out, because I don't charge anything, it's zero. And for self-employment taxes, I guess, because we can write that off. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, I think I'm confused as to what you're asking. So why would you pay a notary fee out of your pocket? Do you think that that's a required fee?
No, I know it's not required. So I'm guessing, I don't know if I should ask for a raise on top of that, or if I can, like on top of the notary fee.
So with your employer, that's part of your job description. They may have even paid for your notary. I don't know of any way that you can specifically charge for that. It's part of your value package as an employee though. So I think you can absolutely negotiate any kind of salary you want. I probably would not say I'm a notary, so I deserve more, because becoming a notary is relatively easy to do. So you want to tie more into the value package for you.
Yeah, because I started my LLC and I paid for it myself, and I paid for my bond just because I knew I was going to start doing the loan signing.
Right.
And because I did the E&O insurance and all that.
Yeah. This is a side hustle business for you. So what I would do is I would focus on building revenue outside of your employer. Let that just be what it is. Continue learning. And what you have that a lot of people don't have is a built-in way of continuously learning and seeing new things. So use every single notarization that you do for your employer as a learning opportunity, and then apply that knowledge that's in your head to your business. And that will eventually, as you focus more and more on your outside business and grow that, you might even replace your income.
Okay. And they can't, well, since I paid for it, he can't take it away. And I've had it, I just renewed my commission on the 15th. So
yeah, so employers can't take away your notary commission, even if they did pay for it. But you also want to keep everything in integrity, right? This whole role that we are as notaries public is a role of integrity. So you want to make sure that you're compliant with their company policies. You don't want to be sneaking around with notary work outside. So I would recommend at least having a conversation or checking the policies to make sure that the existing policies do not have something against having a outside business. But aside from that, I think you're good to go. Laura, do you have any input on that or a different perspective?
I think pretty similar to yours. I wouldn't see the employer as somebody I'm going to get money from. in terms of notarizing. If that was part of your job description. If you become a notary and now you want to present to your employer, hey, guess what? Now I'm a notary, and I can notarize documents here for you, excuse me, then great, bring that up. And if you paid for it yourself, the employer, if I'll notarize for you, would you carry the cost for me to hold that commission in exchange? That's a common deal. So that's the only thing I would suggest, since we don't really know what the situation is with your law firm.
Okay.
Did we answer the question?
Yeah, you did. Somebody had told me that I needed to negotiate my pay, and I was like, well, I mean, I've been doing it, so it doesn't make sense to do that, and I've been doing it all these years.
Then it's
yeah, that could be a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's a certain expectation there too.
Right.
But there's what you're going to learn outside of this too, maybe with the loan signings, maybe by participating in training that I'll tell you right now that most attorneys and most employee notaries don't do. There, you might learn stuff that brings so much more value to that firm that you might be able to negotiate more. Maybe there's a training component where you can train the other paralegals and the attorneys on notary law, because attorneys don't know it. There's all kinds of different ways that you can learn, take whatever you learn on either side and apply it to either side.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Awesome. You're welcome. Thanks for being here. All right. How are we doing on time? Good. Candy Bennett, thank you for being here. You want to unmute. Tell us what state you're in and how we can help.
Well, hello. I am Candy, and I am in Columbus, Ohio.
All right.
And two things. Number one, there was a comment regarding the app agencies, and one small event. I had a situation last week where I received a package and the dates were incorrect. And I went back to them and told them the dates were incorrect. They stated that I could change the dates. I stated that I don't create documents. I notarize documents, and I recused myself from the assignment. I just want to know, is there any way that, well, this is a wish. The wish is that these agencies would get their act together and have some continuity and uniformity and not be so haphazard and putting things out to notaries that know what they're doing. Okay.
I love that. And here's what I'm going to say to that, though. This is not a signing agency issue. This was a lender issue, and this was a scheduling, title, and everything issue. So it's not the signing agency. Like, let's not, I know there's probably some other complicating factors there, but that's probably not something that's going to happen soon. In that particular case, even though you can't change the date, the borrower certainly can.
Okay, right. And they just kept at me to change the dates, and I just recused myself. Okay, so thank you for hearing that vent. So then I do have a question, and that is regarding the RON. I was introduced to RON through this fortunate interchange here, and I have pursued that here in the state of Ohio. I'm just trying to get a feel for the future of this. Do we really see that signing agents will be able to do more work with RON? Does anyone have a crystal ball here of where this is really going with the RONs? Nationwide, not just in California, but here in my little Midwestern state.
Yeah, what a great question. I think, Laura, I'd love to hear your perspective. What do you think about RON, and in particular, it sounds like loan signings? Well,
Gosh, if this transcript thing would get out of my way so I can see everybody again. First of all, I just want you to know that we're not even doing it in California at all. We don't have RON. So anybody who thinks it's big time out here, wrong impression. And here's my opinion about RON. I do believe that that is going to be a method that will ultimately be in all 50 states. That's the bottom line. It's going to happen. How it gets utilized and how it rolls out is going to be different in the different states. And I do believe that loan signings, they're driving this, and that that's where it's going to roll out ultimately. But in the meantime, there's quite a bit going on in the general world. There's a friend of mine who's in Nevada. man, he's doing Ron work every day, and it's all over the darn place, not only the United States, but internationally as well, because they can do that from Nevada. So I do think that if you are in this business, I would not turn my nose to Ron. I would make it one of my specialties and just adopt it for whatever piece I'd like to work on. I'm not suggesting anybody say, hey, I'm full-time Ron, that's what I'm doing, although some may like to do that. But I do think it is a piece that can be added to what you might be doing today.
Excellent. And for me, I think I like to work it back from what I want my dream life to look like. So that's how I built this business, and that's where I want to go. So when you're a remote online notary, it is a different world than what I'm used to. And what attracts me to this business is being on the road and meeting people. Ron is going to be different. It's going to be at home. Maybe you don't have to wear pants, which is a huge bonus, but it's still not necessarily what attracts me to this business. So ask yourself those questions too. Is that what, if it meant to be successful, that I had to be in front of a computer 12 hours a day, providing technical support on top of notarization, would that be okay with me? And some people love it, and that's okay. Then there's a huge opportunity, especially, and I love what Laura talked about, in specialty notary work or general notary work. That's where the big demand has been. And in order to make that happen, you've got to either get dialed in on a platform that helps you market, but allows you to have your own customers, or you're going to have to learn search engine optimization and digital marketing. So you make sure that when a customer needs a Ron, that they find you. If you're willing to do that kind of work, if this fits for you, then absolutely take it. But on the loan signing side, I think we've got a few years to go, because there's so many inefficiencies in this industry. There's just so many things that are going to have to click into place before this gets taken over mainstream. Because some of the people I know who have tried doing the loan signings on Ron, it's taking hours. It's no longer 45 minutes to an hour and a half. It's just the technology is not quite where it needs to be yet.
Yeah, and remember that when you're dealing with Ron, you're dealing with equipment, technology, not only for you to know what the heck you're doing, but the signer on the other end. That's taking a lot longer for them to figure out how to scan their ID and going through the KBAs. And if they fail so many times, then they're moved to another day. There's just a lot of issues with the public utilizing the service that way.
And then there's some people who are just built for that level of service. And the people who are killing it right now, and there's almost every state has somebody who has risen to the top, and they're actually sharing, and they're helping, and they're teaching, and they're mentoring others because they love it. And it fits their personality and their business model, where they want to go. If this sounds interesting and good to you, those are the people that you want to get connected with and learn from them. They figured it out. And then if it's not, you don't have to worry about it so much. Like, it's not something that you have to take on right now if you're turned off by it. So don't feel the pressure to get into Ron unless you want it.
And if you want to know more about that, especially in the areas of the platforms, what's going on, John Holder out of Kentucky, he runs Ron University, or Ron U, and you might want to check out his website. He's got a lot of good information, and it's not like he's just using one platform and that's all he knows. He's very familiar with all of the platforms and has spoken with experts on that. And I think he could be a great resource.
Huge resource.
Well, I thank you both very much for your input. And yes, maybe the loan signing world's not ready for Ron yet, okay, but general notary work, I can up my game there. So thank you so much.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Thanks for being here, Candy.
Welcome.
I think we have time for one more question. That's going to be Lewis in Illinois. Lewis, welcome.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Good. So
how can we help?
I spoke with you about, I want to say, some weeks ago, and we spoke about being introverts and how to network and all that stuff on LinkedIn and things like that. And I have been pursuing that, and I'm come to another dilemma. And my question is, what kind of content should somebody like me that's basically pursuing like to do like trust and all the general notary work stuff that Laura talked about in the Laura Presents course. What kind of content should I be putting out there as far as I guess for their pain points? I follow these attorneys, and a lot of them, estate plan attorneys and things like that. And the
Yes.
content that they put out is targeted to the pain points of the clients that they are, I guess, pursuing to get. What kind of content and pain points would I target to the attorney, but them?
Yeah,
If that
great.
makes sense.
Lewis, I love that you're asking this question. To me, this is the right question to ask, is what kind of content should I be posting on social media or via email content marketing to solve the problems of my ideal customer? That's essentially what Lewis is asking.
Yeah.
And that is next level thinking. And if you want to claim your space as the expert notary in your area, this is a skill that you're going to want to start taking on right away. So the key, I think, and one of the things I love about what Laura says, and one of the things I learned at one of her symposiums in working with attorneys, is you want to know their language. So you want to learn what their keywords are, because these keywords in the language that your ideal customer uses to convey their message are the words that you want to use. So let's just use estate planning for an example. You want to get into estate planning. Laura, in her Laura Biewer Presents, does a great training on estate planning, living trusts, last wills and testaments, power medical directives, all that good stuff. You're going to hear a bunch of words, and you're going to get to see a bunch of words that's used in that industry, because you've got the sample documents that right there. So you can get a feel for it. Then you start using keyword creators or just keyword finders that are free and out there on the internet, and you can see what other people are searching for. And then based on that, you can build content like blog posts, social media posts, that will give your website some credibility when people are searching. And you tie this all together with search engine optimization, this is going to make you a powerhouse in the notary community. So anytime somebody's searching for something, you are going to rise to the top. You're going to be in those top 3. You're going to be in the organic search results. And that's ultimately what we want to see happen. So what do you talk about? So if it's estate planning, maybe you want to focus on automobile transfers. Maybe it is loan signings. Maybe you want to focus on apostille work, whatever it might be. There's topics that you can talk about. Now, I have a 52 topic sheet that's basically writing prompts. This is not designed just to say, okay, now I got to talk about this. Now I got to talk about this. It's designed to get your wheels turning. It's designed for you to say, okay, so yeah, I want to talk about IDs in my state, maybe the ID laws, but the ID laws aren't changing. So follow the path and Google it, ID laws in Charlotte, see what comes up for you and see what you can talk about. I guarantee you, you don't put too much pressure on yourself to be this legal expert. All you got to know, you got to be one page ahead of the general public. And that's really easy to do. You just got to read an article, summarize it, make it your own, and post it out there, and maybe have a way to contact you if they need your help to do so. I'm going to post this 52 topics in the chat window there. Oh, I did it twice. There, I'll do it again. Just like that. You can visit notarycoach.com/get-known. I'm sorry, what was that, Laura? Was that you?
No, it wasn't me.
That was me. I said the 52 topics is awesome.
Awesome. The reason that we set it up that way is if you can, I know content is super overwhelming. Everybody thinks they're a terrible writer, but you are better than you give yourself credit for. And it doesn't have to be some 1,000-word dissertation. It can be relatively short. What I recommend, the overarching message here, because you've seen it out there, you've seen so much fluff. People are sick of fluff. Give them the goods. Give them the value, tell them what they need to know, and then tell them how you can help them get there. And you will become a source, even if it's not overnight. You know, it's not like people are just sitting on Facebook waiting for a notary to post an article, right? It's just they'll file it away, and I'm like, God, no, what a nerd. Just loves talking about notary stuff, and then keeps going. Wow, they're all over the place. They're posting pictures. Well, that looks like a good breakfast. Oh, she drinks lots of Starbucks. And then all of a sudden, they need a notary to transfer their 401k to another company. And they're like, oh, I know this notary. She's all over Facebook. That's how this works. And that's why the consistency is so important. And I have talked way too much. Laura, anything you'd like to close out on that?
You hit it pretty good. And you alluded to part of what I was thinking about is that when I post, sometimes I'm posting technical information about notarization to help provide some education out there for the general public, which is different than for notaries, because it depends on who my audience is. And I have two different sets of audience. The other thing is that it's okay to share your notary journey. And I love sharing about some of my more memorable appointments. And some of those memorable appointments include animals, children, seniors that are older than dirt. I mean, we're talking in their hundreds. Just all kinds of things that I've experienced that humanize this event called notarization, right? No, it's not very interesting to hear about I notarized a document, but when you humanize it and you tell the story that goes with it, it's memorable, and then they will remember you, and they'll attach a positive association with that to call you for a job later. And if nothing else, you've entertained them.
Yep, I love that. And we'll wrap up really quick. This is so important, Louis. Gold star, because that's the question that will take everyone to the next level if we can get this dialed in. But here's what the key is knowing who your ideal customer is. And it's tough without the prompts, or maybe just starting out, not having the confidence to know what to talk about. So we default to talking to other notaries. Unless you're providing mentorship or have a way to monetize your expertise, I do not recommend talking to other notaries unless you want to do it in a private group or something. That's not going to drive business to your notary business. And if your notary business doesn't start making money and sustain your life, you can't help anybody. So you got to put your oxygen mask on first, get the customers you need to thrive, and then you can start talking to other notaries and show them how it's done. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for being part of the TNT and growing yourself and your business on a Tuesday. We'll see you the same time, same place next week. Laura, thank you so much. See you guys later.
Bye all.